So if you haven't caught my video from last Saturday on fragrances that are perfect for fall, autumn, that are under $100, please do catch that. But today we're talking about fragrances that are mostly unisex, perfect for fall and autumn, and these are definitely from luxury or niche houses, definitely over $100. So if you want to find out what they are, there's 21 of them, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. Yes, fall and autumn. Cannot wait for it. I love the season, and I love the fragrances that I can wear in the season, whereas some of the fragrances can be kind of still appropriate to wear when it's warm out, but they're strong enough that are perfect for cooler days in the fall. And I just love when, you know, the leaves turn the colors. Just love that color of the warm sun in the afternoon hitting the, you know, very golden colored trees and things like that. So this is one of my favorite seasons, and I love the fragrances that I can wear this particular season. So we'll discuss 21 fragrances that are appropriate, and they are from designers, they're from niche houses. Yeah, niche and designer, over 100, definitely luxury, all coming up very soon. But before we do that, if this is your first time tuning into the channel and you still haven't subscribed, please do click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. Let's get started. So what we're going to do is a lot of the fragrances have been featured or have been reviewed recently. And we're going to start off with number one, and this was a video I just aired a couple of days ago, and I gave you alternatives for this particular fragrance if you are on a budget, but I'm featuring it here. It's Dior's FEVE DELICIEUSE. This is all about tonka beans, vanilla, caramel, benzoin, and chocolate, and it's a very, very delicious fragrance. I love it because it's tonka beans with a coating of dusting of, you know, cacao. So there's that whole tonka bean thing where it's nutty, almondy, a little bit tobacco-ish with that kind of chocolatey touch. But there's also vanilla here, there's caramel, there's some benzoin. So it's resinous, it's gourmand, it's an oriental, but it's very, very delicious. It's FEVE DELICIEUSE, perfect for fall, I think. So that is definitely one I highly recommend. And this next one is a fragrance I really love. It's the very first fragrance I bought from this house dating back to 2014, and I still consider it one of my favorite tobacco fragrances. It actually is quite classy, and it's targeted to men, but I feel like it's unisex enough. And I'm going to tell you, I think I told you earlier, these are all very unisex, so both men and women can wear them. If you're not comfortable just, you know, blind buying, of course, never do buy samples or decants or test them in stores that you will, you know, find out if it's perfect for you. But this is Parfums de Marly's Herod. And so this one is all about tobacco, vanilla, and then there's also some cinnamon in here. But you know what? What's unique in here? There's a slight fruity undertone, and that's coming, when I say fruity undertone, there's like stone fruit, apricots, and peaches and things like that. There is this Osmanthus note in here, which is a flower that smells kind of, you know, stone fruity, kind of apricot, peachy kind of fruitiness. So there is that in here, and there's a little bit of a smokiness as well. But in the end, it's a tobacco with vanilla. It's not tobacco vanille, and sadly, I have not featured that fragrance in this video. I do have a Tom Ford though, but this is a unique take on the tobacco, especially with that fruitiness and the smokiness and the cinnamon. It's a great scent. I love this one. It's Parfums de Marly's Herod. This next one is all about Vetiver and Patchouli. The two together, equally balanced, very, very sexy, very classy compliment getter. This is Incident Diplomatique from Jovoy. So this one I'm putting here because it smells like fall when you smell it out of the bottle, and I love wearing it in the fall when it's still a little warm outside, but there's also a little breeze outside, a little cool chill in the air, warm and chill kind of like clashing together. And I feel like those contrasts are what this fragrance is all about, because, you know, when it's warm outside, you still have a little bit of humidity, but it's hitting the coolness and the chill and the breeze. And this one has vetiver in it, of course, and patchouli. It also has nutmeg, orange, and sandalwood. So it's a nice masculine offering. Even though it's unisex, I feel like it leans masculine. But those of you ladies that are out there that are into slightly more masculine leaning fragrances and you like patchouli and vetiver, definitely check this one out. Sample first, but really a wonderful fragrance. People stop me on the street and ask me what I'm wearing with this one. It can't be beat. It's a great scent, and again, it's all about patchouli and vetiver, and it's Incident Diplomatique from the house of Jovoy. This next one is a recent launch from the house of L'Artisan Parfumeur. This is Color Vanille, this one right here. So this is that salty vanilla fragrance that is sort of similar to Juliette Has a Gun's vanilla vibes, but it goes into a more resinous and balsamic direction because it has resins. In the end, it's vanilla with sea salt, so you do have a little bit of a sea marine touch in here, but more salt than the actual, you know, marine or seaweed or things like that. But there's also loads of Tolu balsam in here. There's cashmere wood, musk, and benzoin. So it's musky, it's resinous, and the benzoin is also very vanillic. So you have a vanillic resinous touch going on in here, especially with the vanilla and the sea salt. It's really, really delicious. And those of you that like, you know, the idea of vanilla, but you think it can get cloying, and even though this can get cloying, I feel like the sea salt tones it down, so you can try it. Anyway, this is great, I think, for fall, autumn. I think it's the right kind of fragrance because it's dense, it's a little sweet, but it's also kind of not overly sweet, sickly sweet, because of the toning down that the salt does. Anyway, that's Color Vanille from the house of L'Artisan Parfumeur. So I'm back in love with this one, and you know, sometimes you fall out of love with some fragrances or certain fragrances, you come back to it. And this one actually kind of was a very, very much of a love for me. That kind of, you know, fallen in love, out of love with it. Now I'm back to enjoying it, and I feel like it's perfect fragrance to wear in the fall. This is Rose 31 from Le Labo. So Rose 31 is a very dry and woody rose. So it all has rose, but it's not a jammy rose, it's a dry rose. You can smell the dryness of the rose, but it also has loads of vetiver, cedar, musk. There's some beautiful, soft, creamy gaiac wood in here, some light touches of cumin, and that's key. People do pick it out, and if you're sensitive to cumin, you might want to test this out before you blind buy it. There's a little bit of oud, there's some smoky undertones of olibanum, and there's some ambery touches with labdanum, but a great scent. It's really, really wonderful, and this particular fragrance is so popular from Le Labo that they actually have bath products for hotels. So at some hotels, like Fairmont Hotel Group, if you ever stay at one of those hotels, you'll see some of these products in their hotel. I mean, if a fragrance ever makes it as a bath, you know, hotel bath product, it means it's very, very popular. It's a very popular scent. I really do enjoy it. And you know, it's a masculine rose. It's definitely leaning masculine, but definitely unisex for ladies to pull off as well. But because it's dryness, I feel like it's really, really appropriate for fall. Anyway, that's Rose 31. And that is definitely another one for you to try. Now this is a house that I don't speak too much about. I do have a full review of this one, and I wanted to throw in a kind of an aromatic, patchouli-esque, woody kind of fragrance. It's from a Lebanese house called IDO Parfumeur, and this is Prism Blues. So IDO's Prism Blues is, for me, kind of sort of going in the direction of oud wood, but it definitely goes in a different direction. So it has patchouli, and I feel like the patchouli in this is amped up compared to oud wood. So if you like the idea of oud wood with lots of patchouli, you might want to look into this. And the reason it kind of reminds me of Tom Ford's oud wood is the cardamom, and the cardamom and oud together kind of go in that direction of reminding me of Tom Ford's oud wood. But the way this fragrance wears, the concentration, the density and everything, I feel like it's perfect for fall because it's also on the dry side, but it's definitely patchouli. But what you also have in here is some black pepper, some rose base, cedar, geranium, and labdanum. So there are some ambery touches, but in the end it's very, very sexy. It's for the patchouli lover. This is IDO Parfumeur's Prism Blues. Definitely a great fragrance. And this fragrance always ends up on my list for fall. This is Montal's Intense Cafe. And this is definitely a gourmand. It's a rosy gourmand. It's milky, it's lactonic, and it has rose, vanilla, coffee, musk, floral notes, and amber. Even if they don't mention the whole milk note or lactonic note, or you know, the note that gives us this kind of lactonic milky quality, it's there. It's more like a cafe latte or cafe latte for me, with loads of rose in there. So It's definitely the rose that Montal is known for. If you like the Montal rose and you've never tried this, you like gourmand scents, you definitely have to try, because I feel like it's really, really delicious. It's also cozy and comforting because of the milky lactonic qualities, and you know, the whole vanilla, you know, coffee all together. Really, really delicious. That's Montal Intense Cafe. Definitely a great scent. Now this next one goes into a masculine direction once again. This is one of the latest fragrances from Frederic Malle. This is Rose and Queer. This actually, the reason this one goes into that kind of masculine direction, because I feel like the geranium note in here is so amped up that it just kind of goes into that kind of masculine side. It's rose, but they're actually using geranium to create this accord for the rose. And geranium happens to go minty as well. So there's this minty quality about the geranium, the rosy quality. With leather, there's timut pepper, blackcurrant cedar, and vetiver. It's quite delicious, guys. It's actually really, really great. I feel like it's rose, but it's for the rose hater that wants to kind of like dabble in rose, but they don't want full-on rose, to where that's the kind of fragrance this is, because, you know, again, there's no real rose in here. They're kind of making an accord with all the different notes and the geranium, which is the star of the show, I feel like. So this is Rose and Queer from the house of Frederic Malle. And you know, I'm going to also feature a bonus fragrance from this house because I am enjoying it a lot lately. So in the end, we're not featuring 21 fragrances, we're actually featuring 22 fragrances. This is The Moon from Frederic Malle. Man, this is so good. I wanted to feature this. It's so expensive that I kind of like decided, you know, maybe it's a little too expensive to feature as one of my favorites, but I'm just going to offer it as a bonus fragrance. So The Moon from Frederic Malle is an absolutely wonderful fragrance. In fact, from the Desert Gems collection, it has become my favorite fragrance. I mean, it beat out Promise, beat out The Night, and of course Dawn as well. Those all are great fragrances, but if I had to rank this list, I think I've ranked it actually. If I have a video on it, you can go check it out. The Moon would be my number 1, The Night would be my number 2, Promise would be my number 3, and although Promise and The Night are equal for me, and then of course Dawn comes at the end. But this is actually wonderful with the fruity notes, the currant note, just the lychee fruit. Just a really, really beautiful, nice balance of fruits and spicy notes and olibanum and oud and all those kind of stuff. And it wears so wonderfully in the fall. It's intense, but it's not as beast mode as like The Night. So I feel like it's more appropriate for something like a fall weather, when it kind of still has some warmth out there. But if you don't know The Moon, definitely check it out. It's a wonderful fragrance. So this is a fragrance from the house of Louis Vuitton, and no, it's not Meteor, but it is in a bluish bottle as well. And this is Nuit de Faux, this one right here. So this was the third in the Oriental Middle East collection of fragrances that was launched. First they had Ombre Nomade, then Les Sables Roses, and then now we have Nuit de Faux. And this is all about leather, oud, incense, olibanum, and musk. And it's an intense creation. Obviously it's more expensive too, and it's definitely all that stuff. It's a very leathery, incensey oud fragrance, and again, it's fitting for the fact that it's in this dark bottle. It's kind of like very navy, dark bluish kind of color, whereas the previous bottles were brown and dark brown and dark red, and now we have the dark blue for the incense. But you know what? It's a great fragrance. A little goes a long way. You must love incense. Incense is not the easiest note to wear, but I love the smell of incense. And this is actually incense, but it's more than just incense. So in the end, does it smell like church? It can hint at those kind of things. It's definitely resinous, it's musky, but it's also oudy and with leather and of course incense. So that's Nuit de Faux. Definitely a great scent to wear in the fall. Now this next one is from the house of Chanel, and this is number 18. Now this one actually might lean a little feminine, but I love that this is perfect, and it's perfect for fall as well. There's something about this particular fragrance and the note it features, ambrette, that I'm absolutely in love with. Ambrette is a musky note, and it's actually not synthetic, so it's in nature, and the ambrette note has fruity and boozy nuances, but you get that here. But also ambrette can smell medicinal, and this actually smells medicinal as well. I love it. It almost smells like you opened up a pill box of medicine sometimes, with fruity notes and boozy notes. But what happens in here is there's loads of iris, there's of course fruity notes, there's woody notes, floral notes, but it's a very, very underrated Chanel fragrance. It hints at a little bit of Egoiste for the men, and it also hints at Saint Noir from Dior, which I believe they were copying Egoiste to make a new version of. Anyway, this is that kind of a fragrance. It's actually really, really a great hidden gem fragrance from the Chanel Les Exclusives collection. It is definitely slightly feminine leaning, but I feel like if you're confident with unisex fragrances, you can totally pull this one off. So that's Chanel number 18, a great, great scent. So this next one is from the house of Penhaligon's. This is Halfeti Leather. So Halfeti is that very popular fragrance from the house of Penhaligon's, and they've done a different twist on that fragrance and have given us a more slightly fruity, leathery take on Halfeti. Whereas we have leather, cardamom, oud in here. Of course, oud was present in the original Halfeti, which originally it had rose, but this one has leather, obviously, with plum, cedar, incense, bergamot, and jasmine. In the end, it's very strong. It's a concentrated note, and of course, you know, it's fruity, it's oudy, and of course, it's smoky and leathery. So it's a great take on that Halfeti. And for me, I got so burnt out on Halfeti, don't get me wrong, I don't hate it or anything, but when we had our Penhaligon store here in San Francisco, in our San Francisco center, the mall, whenever I'd walk by there, they'd be kind of like blowing this Halfeti fragrance everywhere. So, you know, when you smell something too much, you get tired of it. So this is a nice change of pace, or a nice breath of fresh air kind of a thing, where you're smelling something different. Even though the idea is similar, it goes in a different direction. Anyway, that's Halfeti Leather from the house of Penhaligon's. So this next one is from the house of Akro, and this is Smoke. So this is the reason I'm adding this one in this collection is not only does it remind me a little bit of Tobacco Vanille, it reminds me of things with tobacco, but it goes into the smoky direction. There's a reason why it's called Smoke, because it is very smoky, but the tobacco in here, along with the benzoin, juniper berry, and tonka beans, does kind of remind me of a Tobacco Vanille. So if you like the idea of Tobacco Vanille, it does smell ashy, of course, Tobacco Vanille does, but it doesn't smell smoky to me, not so much. This is called Smoke, and for me, as I said, it does smell like a very smoky, a different take on Tobacco Vanille kind of thing. So I like that. I like that change of pace with this fragrance, and the fact that this particular fragrance, it's kind of cold or stark a little bit when you're not in the heat. So when you wear it in the heat, the sweetness kind of develops and opens up, and that's what I like about it. So in the end, if I'm wearing it in the fall, it's cool, but it warms up during the day and it gets cool again. You're going to go through those changes, and your body temperature along with the heat outside is going to sweeten it up, but then when it gets, you know, when it's cold, it's going to be a little cooler experience. A great scent, Akro Smoke. Check it out if you don't know it. It's really pretty fantastic. This next fragrance is from a niche house out of Turkey called Nishane. This is Ani, this one right here. So here, Ani is a great vanillic, spicy, slightly fruity sandalwood fragrance. So the vanilla is pretty prominent here along with the ginger, so there's some zingy spiciness with the ginger, but there's some slight fruitiness. The blackcurrant does come in here, fruitens things up, maybe kind of like makes them a little lighter kind of an experience. There's loads of sandalwood, so the sandalwood is very, very creamy in this one, but along with benzoin, pink pepper, green notes, cardamom, it's a great, great scent. It hints at a couple of other Nishanes, but this was created by Cecile Zorokian. It wasn't made by any of the other perfumers. So I guess there's some kind of a DNA, perhaps, perhaps not. But for me, it's a great, great scent, and I feel like it's perfect for fall. So this is Nishane Ani. Check that one out. So this next one is from the house called Tom Ford. It's Black Orchid Parfum. So this one is on the list because it's brand new, and of course I love the fact that it does have slight boozy, fruity nuances or characteristics. So this is black truffles in the end, Ylang-Ylang, patchouli, rum, orchid, and plums. And there's a theme in this video. I feel like there's going to be several fragrances that come up with the plum note. And I thought in the end, you know, I don't have a lot of fragrances with plums, and I was putting this my notes together for this video, and I'm like, plums, there they are. This one definitely has plums, so it does go fruity. The black truffles are definitely prominent here, and I like the black truffles note. You know, it's the kind of note that grows underground where you have to use a dog or a pig to go smell it, I think. dogs, I think, are used definitely. But wow, this is definitely a more intense version. Not overly intense, but slightly more intense, but also a little unique direction with the plum and all the other notes. It's a great scent. Anyway, that's Tom Ford's Black Orchid. Check that out. So this next fragrance is so delicious, guys. This is like a great concoction, perfect for fall. This is Atelier des Ors Rouge Sarré. So here we go with fruity notes again, and it has plums. This has plums, dates, sandalwood, cinnamon, vanilla, patchouli, heliotrope, Peru balsam. So this is a resinous balsamic oriental fragrance, and it's a very delicious concoction. In fact, this has become my favorite fragrance from this house because it is so delicious. You wear it and you just want to kind of like just be cozy. You put it on and then you kind of like just relax and have this very cozy, relaxing time at the house. Maybe reading a book, sipping on some tea or something by the fireplace. That's that kind of a fragrance because it just relaxes you. And whenever I smell these vanillic notes and fruity notes and resinous balsamic notes and just all of that stuff, it really does that. And any oriental fragrance that goes in that direction for me is very cozy and comforting. And this one doesn't disappoint. It's so good, and it's really perfect to wear in the fall. You can wear it in the winter as well, but I feel like this is perfect for fall. Anyway, this is Rouge Sarré from the house of Atelier des Ors. So this next one is a fragrance that you probably saw a review for yesterday, and this is from the house of Amouage Overture Man. So this one's a sexy MF, really sexy MF. But what's going on here is you've got a really nice boozy cognac note and lots of resinous myrrh. Resinous myrrh, it's kind of aromatic, spicy, definitely vanillic, sweet, kind of a resinous note. There's lots of sandalwood here. There's a little bit of cumin, there's saffron, there's leather, and then there's some animalic notes, which is what gives you that sexy kind of a smell to it. You gotta like animalic notes. You might not like it if you don't with this one, but I feel like they're not extreme, they're not intense, they're totally wearable. But be careful if you are sensitive to those kind of notes. You might be turned off by this particular fragrance, but I find it to be very sexy, and it's so good for the fall. This is great fragrance from the house of Amouage. If you haven't caught my review, it was launched yesterday. Go check it out and find out all about this one. This is Amouage Overture Man, and it is a great scent. Okay, next up we're going to the house of Guerlain. This is Patchouli Ardent, this one right here. So Patchouli Ardent is one of the latest fragrances from this Oriental collection, and it's the different take on patchouli. It's a slightly fruity take on patchouli because it has loads of patchouli with rose and fig. The rose actually smells to me like it's a jammy rose, and I feel like the fig with the rose kind of give you that kind of like fruity jammy kind of experience with the rose. But there's loads of leather in here, cedar, musk, pink pepper, black pepper. So in the end, it's a spicy patchouli with a fruity, rosy kind of concoction. But it's a different patchouli. It's definitely not like something like Psychedelique from Jovoy or Reminiscence patchouli. It's not that kind of cakey, chocolatey patchouli. This is definitely a dry patchouli that goes in a different direction. It's a different take on patchouli, and I feel like it is definitely appropriate in this collection of these kind of bottles. In fact, when I wear it, it kind of reminds me of the Bois Mysterio fragrance that I'm obsessed with, which I was going to feature here. I felt like it would be more appropriate for winter, but this one I feel like it's perfect for fall. It's dry, it's rosy, it's a little jammy, it's a little fruity, but loads of patchouli with leather. Anyway, that's Patchouli Ardent from the house of Guerlain. And speaking of Guerlain, we have Iri Torrefi, this one right here. So Iri Torrefi is all about iris with coffee. And coffee fragrances I find are perfect for fall. They smell great because I've lived in San Fran for so long, and I walk around in the city and I can smell coffee roasting and brewing everywhere. And one of my favorite things is in the fall to overdose on coffee because I'm obsessed with the taste, and it's more about the smell to me than the taste. Because the smell, it just does it for me. Things with smells does it for me. Of course, taste and smells are connected, but Personally, I love the smell of coffee more than the taste, and that's kind of what I'm trying to accomplish when I'm like drinking coffee, because that smell is fantastic. Anyway, here it's an iris with coffee. It's a little different take on iris. Of course, the coffee comes in a little astringent, or maybe a little acidic, so I feel like the coffee is a little overdose in here, but it does you know, fizzle away the overdose of the coffee or the acidity of the coffee. But then you're left with cardamom, some tea, vanilla, ambrette. Ambrette is prominent, bergamot, and amber. But you know what? It's a great concoction. I also feel like this reminds me a little bit of the Dior Homme Intense, Dior Homme Parfum collection. So then I was thinking maybe perhaps it doesn't really fit this collection. But then again, you know what? If you've never smelled those fragrances, because I know I don't know what's going on with them personally, so I have not really found out. But I know Dior Homme Parfum is no longer. So if you haven't smelled them and you probably smelled this for the first time, you probably liked it. You'd be like, okay, this is a great scent. But for me, I feel like it might not belong in this collection. Then again, it does. So anyway, this is Guerlain Torafi, a great scent with iris and coffee. Check it out if you don't know it. All right, this next one is from the house of Xerjoff, and it's Naxos. So this Naxos fragrance, I feel like is perfect for fall or autumn season, because I like the fact that it has honey. There's loads of honey, tobacco, tonka beans, lavender, vanilla, cinnamon, cashmere, and bergamot. And you know what? This is, personally, I feel like it's a fougere gone in a tobacco gourmand direction, because in the end, fougere basically has top notes of bergamot, heart notes of lavender, base notes of tonka or coumarin, and which this particular fragrance does. So is it a fougere? It's an oriental fougere, I think, to me, because fougere is a barbershop style of fragrance, but this one doesn't smell like barbershop, but you know, it definitely has the notes that it needs to have for that particular style. But you know what? It's a really, really delicious concoction. It has the honey, the tobacco, of course the lavender, as I said, tonka beans. There's loads of vanilla here, cinnamon, cashmere, and great concoction, and perfect to wear in the fall or autumn season. Anyway, that is Xerjoff Naxos. This next fragrance is from the house of Tiziana Terenzi, and this is Ursa. So I recently did a comparison video with this fragrance and Kilian's Straight to Heaven and Straight to Heaven Extreme. If you haven't caught that, do. But this is a great scent for for this particular season. One of the things I love about this particular fragrance and the Kilian fragrances is that with Ursa, I love it because it's patchouli, it's rum, it's fruity notes, it's leather. There is a little bit of an animalic twist in this one that's different than the Kilians, and I love the dry down in this one compared to the Kilians, because this gets really fruity, and the combination, the mixing of the notes with the patchouli and the fruity notes together. There's some vanilla in here as well. It's fantastic. But you do have to get past that animalic touch at the beginning, because it could be a little overwhelming to some people that don't like it, because the leather note that's in here, I feel like it's a little animalic. Anyway, that is Ursa, and it's a great scent. If you don't know it, please do check this one out. And of course, if you have Kilian Straight to Heaven, you might not need it. But personally, I prefer the dry down of that fragrance a lot more. And we're going to end this video with Eau Capitale, this one right here. And Eau Capitale is one of those beautiful fragrances from Diptyque, created by Olivier Pechot. It's considered a chypre fragrance with rose, pink pepper, green notes, patchouli, and bergamot. It's really a fantastic fragrance. It hints at, classic chypres, but it's a very modern fragrance. The rose in here is quite jammy, and the greenness from the patchouli and the bergamot kind of give it a very wonderful experience, wearing experience. It does hint at a little bit of something like Tempo from the house of Diptyque, because in the end I feel like they've taken Tempo and taken it to the rosy chypre direction. It's a fantastic fragrance. I love wearing it, and I feel like it's perfect for fall. Might be a little too weak in the winter time. I mean, there's no real rules for these kind of fragrances. You wear them any time of the year, but I feel like this screams fall, and I feel like it's a perfect fragrance to feature here for fall. And that is Diptyque's Eau Capitale. If you haven't tried it, please do. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Let me know what you think about this list. Let me know what you think about the fragrances that are featured in here. I know there's so many fragrances that I can't feature more than 20. Obviously, I have 22 for you today, but in the end, there are fragrances that are missing. There are some new fragrances here, and some of the classics that I can't get enough of. Anyway, hope you guys are well. Let me know what you guys are wearing this particular fall or autumn season that's coming up very soon, in a few weeks. The beginning of fall, autumn is just around when my birthday is, so I feel like very, very perfectly in season when it's fall, autumn. Hope everyone's having a great weekend. Please like this video, please share it, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.